right, so next up we have Beam, and we have Alex representing the Beam project.
So hi everyone, my name is Alex. I'm the CTO of Beam. I'm very excited to be here at Mainnet 2020. I live in Tel Aviv, so it's like late evening here, and I have quite a lot of cool stories to tell you about Beam tonight, and very little time to do so, so let's get started. My story with Beam started back in February 2018. I was talking on the phone with my good old friend, Guy Korem, and I mentioned that I was looking for a new project. And he said, so listen, Alex, I have this idea. Let's build a new cryptocurrency. And I said, like, okay, yeah, sounds like fun. And he said, yeah, but you know, I want this cryptocurrency to be private. And I also want it to be scalable and fast and usable. And I also wanted to use Mimblewimble protocol. And I said, like, okay, sounds possible. I had very little understanding about this whole crypto and blockchain space at that time. So we got started, and like in a couple of weeks, we assembled a team of like 5 developers, all very experienced. Most of them I worked with before on different projects. And we started reading and learning a lot about the space. And in a couple of weeks, we had this plan how we're going to tackle this. So we took the Mimblewimble protocol, which was gaining popularity at that time. And the idea of this protocol is that it provides confidentiality while at the same time keeping the blockchain size small, because it allows us to throw out all the intermediate transactions using this cut-through feature. And it's a very elegant solution that we immediately like, that uses relatively simple cryptography. And later we have discovered that actually it has much more interesting things under the hood, which we used in many features that we have developed, but more about that later. We chose C++ as our programming language because that's what most of our developers knew at that time and really were experts in. We took the equihash proof of work algorithm and we modified it a little, and we called it Beam hash because that's what you do apparently. And one important thing to point out is that we have implemented it from scratch, like everything except for the most basic cryptographic libraries. We didn't fork or clone anyone, and it actually allowed us to gain a lot of control and a lot of deep understanding of the technology we were using. And so after about 9.5 months of very intensive work, we launched our mainnet after 4 testnets and 3 independent security audits. It was January 3rd, 2018, which was a very symbolic date because it was a 10-year anniversary of the Bitcoin Genesis block. It was very exciting and stressful day for all of us because we didn't really know what's going to happen. And in fact, the launch was quite successful. We had quite a lot of GPUs mining us from the start. In fact, it was about 10 times more than we anticipated from our service that we conducted pre-launch. And it was scary because the blocks just started appearing very quickly until the adaptive proof of work kicked in. And also, which was even more amazing, we had exchanges and pools listing us from the very beginning. And it was especially surprising because we didn't yet have the chance to launch our official APIs. So I'm still not sure exactly how they did that. Probably they wrapped our command line wallets with some scripts, but it worked, and it was really exciting. So this is how the sky looked in Tel Aviv at the moment of Beam launch. Very nice, like very epic, which it was. One of the things we really put a lot of attention on is to make sure that we have very usable and beautiful wallets available from the start. We had initially desktop wallets for all platforms. And then later in the year, we have added also mobile wallets. So anyone could have actually used Beam pretty easily from the very beginning. And during 2019, a lot of things happened, and unfortunately, I will not be able to tell you about all of them, because otherwise I would have to ask the organizers to extend this session to like 2 hours, but it really was amazing. So first of all, somehow we managed to have 62 releases in a year. And just to illustrate how this looks on a timeline, I will have to step out of my slide layout here. So 62 releases in 54 weeks, that's more than one release per week. And this includes testnets and mainnets and mobile wallets, hotfixes, like quite a lot of work that we did that year. The colors indicate the different major versions that we released. We even had one hard fork that year that changed the mining algorithm a little bit because we wanted to evade the ASICs, which didn't come, but still. And all of that was, of course, only possible due to our amazing development team. It grew up to 25 members over the year, including developers, QA, designers, UX, and product managers, all of them very experienced in their respective fields, and all of them working full-time, very dedicated. Geographically, we're spread over Israel, Belarus, Ukraine, Thailand, Germany, UK, Bali, and so basically a lot of different places. So most of the work is done via Zoom, as you can see, and GitHub. And we had a great time. All of these developers and everyone else are very nice people, and I had a lot of great time working with them. We also managed to attract thousands of people to our Beam community on many different platforms: Telegram, Discord, Reddit, Twitter, you name it. And this community was always very involved and active and supporting, and it was very important to us to receive their feedback and communicate with them. So it was great. We have about, I think, 30 ambassadors in different countries which run their local communities, and they organize meetups and also participate in spreading the Beam message all over the world. I would like to take this opportunity to say special thanks to Gus, who is our head of communities, and to Raskul, who is the mining community lead, for doing great work on working with these people and basically making all this happen. From the mining side, Beam is still GPU mineable. We have about 15 mining pools today that support Beam. And our second hard fork is actually coming at the end of this month on July 28th, or thereabouts, at the block height 777777, which is a very nice number. And one of the changes will be the introduction of Beamhash 3, which is the very innovative take on our mining algorithm, which was created by Lollydeep from Germany, who is our proof of work and mining advisor. If you're interested in mining, I really recommend reading all the materials we recently published about this algorithm, because I think it's really innovative and a thing of beauty. From the trading perspective, Beam is currently listed on over 40 exchanges and is accepted by many stores and services. So you can really buy and trade Beam anywhere, which is very nice. One of the key efforts that we put in Beam is into the product. And this allowed us to create one of the most beautiful and usable wallets, I believe, in the industry today, because we really try to simplify things. And anyone who is involved in the cryptocurrency space knows that it's not a simple thing to do. In the picture on the right, you can see Sasha, our head of product, in his natural environment in Thailand, soaking in the zen of the islands and basically dreaming about like more features and how to make them simple and accessible to everyone. As for the structure, we started as a company. We raised $5 million for our treasury. And then in the end of 2018 and starting from January 2020, we moved to the foundation structure, which has an independent board of directors, and it governs the Beam strategy going forward. On the right, you see our CEO, Alexander Zaidelson, pointing towards the brighter future, which is somewhere on the left or right. I'm not sure how you're seeing this. Today, Alexander is the head of business development and continues to do a lot of great work in discussing and integrating Beam into different services and solutions. Which brings us to the most important point, I think, about Beam, which is innovation. Like from the very beginning, we were really into creating something new here. So this is why we have implemented everything ourselves. And I would like to give just 3 of many examples where Beam was actually able to create something very new and unique, I believe. So atomic swaps is something that we launched last year. It's basically an ability to exchange Beam for Bitcoin, Litecoin, or Quantum using completely decentralized and trustless way without any third parties or intermediaries. It's a very interesting design using HTLC, hash and time log contracts that we have built on top of Mimblewimble, which was not an easy thing to do, but we managed. These swaps are also integrated into our UI wallets, so anyone can easily access them through our wallet interface, and it's very simple to use. The Fly client protocol was mentioned here before in this session even, and it was created by Benedict Bunz, who is also the creator of Bulletproofs, which we also use. And Beam has actually implemented this protocol before the official paper was even published. I believe it was like the first ever implementation of this protocol. And what it allows us to do is to make sure that our mobile clients, which do not run their own nodes, can safely connect to the network and make sure that the information that's coming from the nodes can be validated effectively. And last but not least, Laserbeam, which is our version of the Lightning Network-like direct payment channels, which was also a very cool feature that allowed you to create a channel between 2 wallets directly and then send instantaneous transactions up to the locked amount, which we also built on top of the Mimblewimble protocol, which proved to be very interestingly and uniquely extendable in many different ways. So Laserbeam is also a great feature that we have developed, truly innovative, I believe, definitely in the Mimblewimble world. On the right, you can see Vladi, who is our lead developer, enjoying his hard-earned vacation in his mansion in Bulgaria or something like that. Which brings us to the current version which we have just released last Thursday. It's called Eager Electron because we like some fancy names there, but it's basically a 5.0 version. It's also the version that will take us into the second hard fork, which, as I mentioned, will happen in the end of June. So in addition to BeamHash 3, it introduces 3 new key features. The first one is the Lilantus Mimblewimble. So Lilantus is a new protocol for confidential exchange of value that was created by Aram Zhivanyan, a cryptographer, very talented one, who works with Zcoin cryptocurrency. And when we saw this paper, we figured that the cryptography used in Lilantus is very similar to the one we use in Mimblewimble. So we were able to combine both of them together and create this extension on top of the Mimblewimble protocol, which basically introduces a shielded pool with a very good anonymity size that allows us to unlink the UTXOs by putting them into the pool and then getting out a completely new UTXO, which is completely unlinked from all the previous history, and thus solving one of the weaker spots of the Mimblewimble protocol, which is the linkability issue. We also managed to use Lilantus for the one-side payments because inherently, Mimblewimble is an interactive protocol which requires both wallets to communicate in order to create a transaction. So using Lilantus, we were able to create an additional option of one-side payments where you do not have to wait till the other side is online to make the payment. You just put something into the pool and then the other side takes it out at its own leisure. And also the most important addition, I think, right now is the addition of confidential assets, which was surprisingly easy to implement in Mimblewimble because by adding just additional generators into the basic formula, you could create new asset types, which is somewhat similar to Ethereum tokens or other assets that you see on other blockchains. But in our case, confidential assets automatically inherit all the properties of Beam, which is confidentiality and the cut-through, and they're instantly available in our wallets, and they can be added to exchanges, and also they can be traded via our atomic swaps. So basically, anyone can create a new type of asset, and it will be immediately integrated into our entire ecosystem, which I think is a major step forward for us and allows building a lot of different and new interesting features on top of Beam going forward. So we're also working on a lot of other stuff, which I do not have time to mention here. Web wallet with the web service that will allow some like centralized but trustless features that we can combine with our existing ecosystem as well. But the end goal of all that is to create a new confidential DeFi platform using a slightly different methodology than I think most are using today. So the idea is that instead of using smart contracts, what we are going to do is to use scriptless scripts, which is basically the ability of the nodes to validate results of computations that are done elsewhere off-chain. And instead of calculating the same program multiple times on each node in the system, the nodes will receive this information from the outside via new transaction types and then reach consensus on what this information means for the ecosystem. This is not a new idea. It was introduced a couple of years ago by Andrew Poelstra, and several others also talked about it. But since in Beam we can actually implement many of these building blocks efficiently on the layer 1, we believe this to be a more and robust and practical application that will allow to extend Beam and to become a fully functional DeFi platform. And of course, all of these features will be unified and integrated into our existing environment, including our wallets and all the rest of the ecosystem. So thank you very much, and follow us on any platform you can find us at, Telegram, Twitter, Discord, or whatever. I think that's it for now, and any questions?
All right, thanks, Alex. So just a handful of questions from the audience. So first, so why would users look to use Mimblewimble over other privacy tech offered by some competing projects? I guess really what the question is how do you guys think about the competitive landscape on the privacy front?
So Mimblewimble provides great privacy, and it avoids increasing the blockchain size in the process. So I think it's a major advantage, number one. As I have shown, Mimblewimble is very extendable. So in addition to this privacy, you also get a lot of features that you can use inside this private ecosystem without compromising your privacy, which is great. And of course, Beam makes every effort to make all of this usable and simple to use, on any platform and anywhere. And with the addition of confidential assets, it will also extend to many other types of values. So I think overall, what Beam strives to do in the near future is to become this confidential transfer of value platform that can really support a lot of different applications, DeFi and otherwise. So I think Beam compares really well to the current landscape in terms of both privacy, practicality, and definitely usability.
So another one, I guess you think about the inflation rate in the early kind of months and years of the protocol. How do you think that is affecting adoption? How do you think about it just from a perspective of it being a challenge early on? Because a lot of investors would think that higher inflation rates could potentially be unattractive for holders.
Yeah, so just like any other proof of work cryptocurrency that is being mined from zero, so initially the inflation rate is very high. We had our first halving in the beginning of 2020. So we started with 100 beams per block, 80 of which are going to the miner and 20 to the treasury. And currently, after the halving, we're at 50 beams per block, 40 going to the miner and 10 to the treasury. And I believe that this is like a natural process. And as years pass, this inflation rate stabilizes. I'm not sure how it compares, but I think our inflation rate right now is comparable to many other projects in their first years, maybe even Bitcoin. Don't see this as a major issue. I think our emission schedule is rather well thought through, and yeah, don't see any major issues with that.
And another question that actually asked Zcash, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. How do you think about privacy at the base layer versus privacy at the application layer? And just generally, how do you think about that from a competitive standpoint?
Yeah, so first of all, in Beam, all the transactions are confidential by default. So there are no open or non-confidential or public transactions at all. And also, we, from the very beginning, in order to be practical and be used by both businesses and individuals alike, we have supported all that were also mentioned here previously, such as viewer keys, or like the features that we call auditability. So basically, it allows you to control which information you would prefer to disclose and to which parties, and which information you want to be and to remain private. In addition to that, with the introduction of Lilantos Mimblewimble in the upcoming hard fork, all the issues that were related to linkability are also improved significantly. So basically, you have this combination of complete privacy, auditability, which allows you to disclose only what you want to disclose. And I think this package makes this like very practical cryptocurrency to use in almost any setting.
Gotcha. All right. So we're coming in on the end of this session. I'll leave a little bit of time for Wilson to come on next with Metronome. But thank you, Alex. And where can everyone learn more about Beam?
Yeah, thank you very much for having us. So you can start with our website, beam.mw from Mimblewimble. And of course, join our communities like almost anywhere. Telegram is my preferred place, but we also have Discord, YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, and probably several more I don't even remember. You can ask me any questions directly via Telegram or Discord, which I will try to answer as well. So yeah, download our wallets and get started.
All right, thank you.